Good evening and welcome to Build Your Best Life. You are watching our Blueprint for Success podcast. My name is Jocelyn Childs and I am your host for tonight. And we have a special guest who we love to have in this space, returning to give us her nuggets and expertise, Dr. Shannon Davis-Wills. How are you doing this evening, Dr. Shannon?
I am doing amazing. Thank you for asking. It is a pleasure to be back in this seat again. I love just being here in the audience. So thank you for having me.
You are welcome, and we are grateful to have you with us. And our viewers are in for a special treat, some valuable information on therapy. This evening's topic is Strong Enough to Heal, why therapy is not weakness for young men. We
Yeah.
know there's a lot of myths and taboos, and we're going to get into that and
Yes.
be able to break that down so you can help the audience out and those who are viewing with us. I would like to welcome our viewers. Thank you for being part of this podcast. Please give us a shout out in the chat. Let us know who you are and share this podcast with mothers and fathers, households of families with young men in the household. If they're entering high school, on their way to college, or on the way out of college, young men who are beginning to start a family. We need to share this message because Build Your Best Life is a platform that serves and pours into young men to make sure that they have the tools they need to be successful, respected, and productive in today's society and in our culture. So we have to do our due diligence and pour into them. So please share. Give this live some thumbs up, some hearts, and let us know you're with us. Participate in the chat. We love to see your comments in the chat. So thank you for supporting us once again. Dr. Shannon, we have a great topic, and
Yeah.
I'm going to get right into it with some
Okay.
questions.
Okay. I'm ready.
Why is therapy often viewed negatively among young men, especially in minority communities?
Okay. So we're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
I love it. That is a great question. Of course, there's many answers to that because I think the answer is multi-layers, right? I don't think it's just one thing that leads to, men having a negative view of therapy. I think it's a combination and a generational thing. Like if you think about it, like strength, right, has always been a priority for our men. Like be strong, and sometimes when you think about it, our grandfathers, we just celebrated Father's Day, our uncles, our brothers, and a lot of times they had to push through the pain because they didn't have access to therapy like young men have today. And so young men have been taught to push past or push through simply because they're not aware of the tools that's available to them today. And so many times there's a stigma that's still attached to therapy that something is wrong with you. And I think if we can get past that stigma that I can seek therapy not because something is wrong with me, but because I want emotional wellness and I want to thrive and I want to be the best version of myself. I think if we could change that stigma into something positive, I think that maybe we can have a different outlook when it comes to therapy. But right now, there's just a lot of mistrust within the systems, right? And then is culturally, there's just a lot of mistrust within the systems that we seek help from. And unfortunately, right, therapy falls into the healthcare system.
Mhm.
And that's why I say it's many things. It's not just one thing, but it's just many things because of that mistrust, sometimes they don't feel safe or comfortable. Or, like for me, when I have my clients, especially when I have a client that's a minor and with their adult, I always bring in the mom, dad, whoever is bringing that kid in with the parent, because I want the kid to know that I'm not just saying this to you, but I'm saying this to mom and dad as well, because it has to be a mutual agreement and respect. Like, hey, what you tell me is confidential. I tell that to the child in front of their parents, so the child is gaining that trust with me. So they know that I'm not just telling you this just to tell you this. I'm not telling you something and then going to tell mom and dad something. And so I think a lot of times it's viewed as negative because so many times I've heard, like, because I have adult clients now that had such a bad experience growing up with therapy
Oh,
that now they don't want to seek therapy, but it's gotten so bad that they don't have a choice. Because so many times, right, our parents want to be, have control over the session. And so I'm one of those therapists that I tell the kid all the time, hey, this is your session, this is your time, and you get to decide what you want to do with it.
that's good. It's interesting the parallel. Parents,
Mhm.
they go ahead and take that extra step, and they let down the guard a little bit to get their young man into therapy, but then they still want to control what goes on in therapy. It is
Yeah.
like, if you could fix it, you would have at this.
Yes, definitely. But all of those things lead to having such a negative look or lens at therapy because they had a bad experience, because there's a lack of mistrust, and also because you have your grandparents, your uncles, your dad telling you, hey, we pushed through it when I was growing up. Yeah, you pushed through it because you didn't have access to healthcare. Like you pushed through it because that was the thing to do.
Mhm.
And so it's so many mixed messages that our young men are receiving right now about therapy that they're at a standstill. It's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe. And so all of those things just lead to a negative look at therapy. And so, my job, what I want to do is normalize therapy without something being wrong with you. So,
It's important to normalize therapy. We need that in today's culture and society, especially for our young men. And when you were talking about um, the older generation talking about pushing through, they
mhm.
through it, but what did it result in? It resulted into damaged, broken homes,
Yeah.
that went into the next generation. Hence, why therapy is still needed. Yes, and so it's amazing that, but people hold on to what they're used to and fear what's not familiar to them. And
Yeah.
and plus, would you agree that the idea of therapy is so close and it teeter totters and it is right there on that same level of taking care of our mental health? And we know how dark of a taboo that topic and the idea of balancing our mental health can be.
Definitely. I mean, when you really think about it, we try to take care of every other parts of our body except our mind. And that's why even the book that I wrote, Healing from Within, is called, the subtitle is Healing the Wounds You Can't See.
Yeah.
Because so many times we overlook those emotional wounds, we look at that mental aspect of it. It's only so much that the human brain or the human body can take before it shuts down.
So
And
good.
so even mentally, we can shut down. That's why we encounter those people that's like, I'm not doing anything for anyone because mentally they are exhausted and they're shutting down. And so we see that in our culture all the time, but we overlook it or we make fun of it or we call it these different terms. But the reality of it is they're not able to sustain whatever they were going through. The new term is crash out. Okay, we can call it crash out, but they need help.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you slap a label on it?
Yes.
No.
They put a new term on it. However, though, it's still the same thing. They need help. They need that emotional balance, that emotional wellness to recognize that all of our emotions, right? We have over 100 and something emotions, and all of them are valid.
Yeah.
And I tell people, but you're responsible for your own emotions, meaning you can get upset, you can get angry, you can get anything. But the one thing you're not allowed to do is take it out on other people. And that's what we do when we're not emotionally well. We take it out on other people. And so I want our young men to understand that it's okay to get upset. We live in a world and a society that people do things that genuinely gets us upset. And it's okay to be upset, angry, disappointed, especially especially with our young men. Sometimes they see role models that may not do the thing they thought they should do, and they're disappointed in that. But they have a right to be disappointed. They have a right to feel whatever they feel. But for them, the emotional wellness part is, okay, I'm disappointed, I'm upset. So now I need an outlet so that I can release that. And I think that's the one thing that's lacking. They're not equipped with the tools on how to feel those emotions without taking it out on someone else.
So good. I mean, that response right there can just be its own segment. Oh my God. So what came to mind is this, I don't know if it's me, what's gotten snag in my algorithm on social media, but I'm seeing so many fights, fights
Mhm.
in in all age groups, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
also in particular, we're talking about young adults, young men. And I think that's a lot of course, and some of that is peer pressure, but as far as the crash out, not being able to manage our emotions and believing that I'm just because our emotions are valid, that the reaction is valid as well. But that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, true. You're absolutely right. Right. Even when you think about the whole fighting aspect too, like sometimes the fight is probably not about what happened in that moment, but it could be weeks ago something happened. And now we're at this pivotal moment. And so now I'm going to fight you because I feel something. And the one thing I tell clients all the time, your emotions, they don't care about tomorrow. Your
Mm,
emotions do not care that you want to be a doctor or lawyer or police officer. Your emotions don't care in that moment. The only thing your emotions care about is right now.
mhm.
So whatever you're doing in this moment, it can definitely affect what you're going to do with the rest of your life. And when we make emotional choices like get in a fight, even posting things, right? Because I have a couple of clients that post things on social media and they get caught. Now they see me because now the school is telling you, hey, you have to see a therapist because you didn't post this and you had no business posting it. But once again, you were upset at someone, your emotions got in the way, and you did something on an emotional level that doesn't care about your future.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So, Dr. Shannon, how have messages like man up and be strong impacted the emotional health of men?
It definitely have taught them to perform.
Okay.
If you think about it, right? If you're having an emotional breakdown and another man comes and tell you to man up or be strong, those emotions are still there. They didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But you're performing now. Now I have to look like I'm doing well. Now I have to look like I'm strong. Because if I don't, they're going to view me as weak. So it's become more performative. And what men, young, especially young men, they don't I'm trying to get them to understand that just because you don't acknowledge an emotion, it's still there. Just because you perform and you have everyone think that, hey, I'm strong and all these things, it doesn't mean that that's who you actually are. You're just performing. And and so I just want to be clear though, like, you know, strength is definitely important, right? Even being responsible for our own actions is definitely important, and discipline is important, right? But strength is not always defined by what I could perform or what I'm showing people. Like strength can be, you know what? I really want to do something to this person, but I'm a refrain, right? Strength can be in this moment. I really want to tell them something, but I'm
Yes.
going to refrain. Strength can be mom and dad is really working my last nerve right now because they asked me to wash dishes. But I'm a reframe and I'm gonna just the strength in me is gonna tell me reframe and just go wash the dishes. Right. There's strength even in that. And
That's
so strength look different, it looks different in a in different ways. And so just understanding that I think those man up and be strong, those, you know, sayings kind of help our kids to be more performative, but I want them to be more emotionally well.
Emotionally well and aware instead of being performative, because be strong and man up doesn't really help them navigate through those emotions. It just teaches them to bury it, and then as you stated earlier, it's just going to come up and
Yeah.
sometimes and come out on someone who didn't even deserve it. It had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And um, and you made a point that I was just speaking with a friend about an issue. I'm going to personalize it. I know I'm not a young man, but there was a offense that was dealt with me with my daughter not too long ago, and I was so upset, and I found myself almost wishing harm. I had to wish, and not just that. I passed the test of keeping my mouth closed, but
Okay.
internally, it was brewing, and then I had to stop. I had to stop, and I had to pray, and then I was mad because I had to do the forgiving, and I was crying, and just all the things. But that is a part of being strong, that journey, and just submitting to that process of praying, forgiving, whatever that may look like. It comes in different forms and
Yeah.
different whatever the different situations are. So it just made me giggle, but I just wanted to share that with someone.
Yeah.
Maybe that can bless somebody, because I kept my mouth closed, but my thoughts were like they were about to. I was about to go over the cliff, and I just said, that's you're a child of God. You can't be that way. Those
Yeah.
thoughts are not. They're not bringing glory, and I felt convicted, and so I had to stop.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that because I'm pretty sure you're not the only one that has experienced that, especially when harm comes to our kids.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Mama Bear always want to take over. Mama Bear always want to step in and do something, right? But sometimes, like you say, we have to refrain. But all, and let them fight their own battles sometimes too.
that's true. We do. We do.
And so I can feel you on that one.
Yes. So, what are some signs that a young man may benefit from counseling, even if he appears to be doing fine?
Well, that's a pretty tricky question, right? Because even if he appears to be doing fine, and so fine is very different. And I think the best thing to do is, as caregivers, just knowing who your person is.
Mhm.
Because a sign could be like if they're overindulging in a game, meaning they're spending all their time playing a video game versus being in society. They're fine because they're playing a game. However, though, they're not fine because they're dealing in the gaming system, right? Versus just being in society.
Mhm.
And also, like if you see kids that's acting up in school, sometimes it's really a call for help. Like every time someone, a kid does something in school, it's not because they're bad.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, they made bad choices. I always tell kids, I'm like, you made a poor choice. However, though, but that choice is because they're looking for attention. But also like just isolating themselves, shutting down,
Mhm.
right? Because that's definitely a sign that they're not able to express their emotions, right? And also if you see kids with like increased anger, right? They're upset about something. And also like if you see, a young man, especially just drinking a little bit more than they can handle, or even the new thing now, even with smoking or vaping.
Yeah.
Like those are signs that, hey, they may be fine, but they're not fine. Meaning, sometimes they don't have the behavior issues, but their actions are dictating something different. And so the one question I always ask my teenage clients' parents when they call me and say, hey, my son, needs therapy. The first question I always ask, is your son willing? Because also, the young man has to be willing to receive therapy. And sometimes, it's been a few times, right, where they were like, no, they don't want to receive counseling, and so I'll say, hey, I'm not going to book a first session, but what I'll do is I'll reach out and do a phone call, and a lot of times I'll call the young man and I say, hey, you know, mom thinks she needs therapy. What do you think? And they'll share with me, and I'm like, okay, hey, look, are you open? And most of the time they're yes. Most of the time it's yes, but sometimes they're like, no, I don't know. And I always say, hey, look, let's just do one session. If you like it, great. If you don't, great as well.
Mhm.
But I always tell parents, allow them to be a part of the finding process. And sometimes we have young men that's over 18 and they're not sure where to look or how to, get there. And they do, solicit the help from their parents. And I think that's okay. But even in those moments, parents, let's try not to take over, but just help them and ask them, hey, what are you looking for when you want a therapist? What are some of the things that you want, that you like? And allow them to be part of that bidding process when looking for a therapist. So I think that's a great question.
I think that's a great tip and a great reminder for to allow for parents to make sure they are including their young son,
Yeah.
young adult, and allowing them to be a part of the process of the selection for therapy. Would you like a female therapist or a male therapist? Would you like to speak to someone? Age range. What do you feel you'll be more comfortable with? And if that doesn't work out, would you be willing to try a second therapist if the first one you try it's not a good fit for you? Just go
Yeah.
ahead and address those issues up front, because that could be a possibility. And if we're not giving them that idea that could happen, they could just shut down the whole idea of therapy altogether.
Absolutely. You bring up a very valid point. Like you said, like asking them questions.
Mhm,
You want a male, female,
mhm,
because we don't because if one thing I always tell people, and don't get me wrong, I always say it as a joke when I tell them, but finding the right therapist is almost like being in a relationship, right? Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. And it's okay. It doesn't mean the first person you see should be the right therapist, but like you said, like allowing them to be a part of the process, choosing who they want when it comes to age range, because all of that make a difference with the child. All of those things plays an important role. And if they have a bad first experience, we all got to think about our first experience with something.
mhm.
It could kind of stick with us for the rest of our life. Because some of us, we don't outgrow. Like, I didn't like that, when I first tried it, and I'm never going to do it again. And sometimes kids have those same reactions when it comes to therapy. So, like you said, just making sure they're a part of the process.
Good, good. I want to take a moment to say hello to our viewers, those of you who are tuning in with us this evening. Thank you for tuning into our Blueprint for Success podcast. We have Coach Deborah Smith on. She is tuning in with us. We love and appreciate you, Coach Deborah. Thank you for entrusting us with this space and being able to share with our viewers and being a part of the journey to touch lives of young men. Greetings to you. Greetings to Mr. Dan Smith and Mr. Henry Holmes. Good evening. Good evening. And we have Ms. Linda Wright Patrick. We have Bahamas in the house tuning in, and we're international tonight. Yes, and we have Miss Brady Robinson, a good friend of both of ours.
Yeah.
Hey, Brady, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate each of you for being with us tonight. We like to ask you to please share this live with some families and friends that have young men in the household. If you're tuning in on YouTube, just send it to them, to their messenger, or to them via text message so they can have it, or directly to a young man. And so thank you again for tuning in. We are talking about this evening. Our topic is strong enough to heal. Why therapy is not weakness for young men. And so Dr. Shannon is dropping some great nuggets in her area of expertise. And so we're going to keep it rolling.
Yes.
Dr. Shannon, how can mothers help their sons become more comfortable with the idea of therapy?
Great question, right? There's a number of ways moms can help. The one thing I hear people say quite often is you need therapy. The moment we say you and need,
The approach is
yes,
important.
automatically that person has shut down, right? But what moms can do, instead of saying you need therapy, right? Moms can say, you know what? It looks like you're dealing with a lot. You need a safe space to express how you feel. Let's try talking to someone.
Yeah.
Because it is a safe space, right? Or also just acknowledging, like it looks like you're trying to figure some things out about you as a person and what's going on with you. How about, or have you considered, talking to someone about it?
Mhm.
You can like noticing, acknowledging that you notice that something is different. We don't have to say what's going on with you or what's wrong, but acknowledging, I notice your attitude has been a little different lately. We don't have to, you've been upset. Okay, yeah, we know that.
Popping off.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've noticed, right? I've noticed that something is off. How about, or have you considered, talking to someone about it? And even when the kids say who, there's a therapist, I've been, that I think that maybe we can go through a couple of profiles and you can find one that's right for you. So it's all about the introduction.
That's so good. That's so good. And I said that because parents, we're so emotionally involved with what's going on with our child or our young adult or soon to be young adult that we forget that we're the first teacher. We forget that we got a leg up on them in experience. And and we know that, but we deliver that in the wrong way too often. And
Yeah.
I have not always passed that test.
Yeah.
So that your mouth, I don't know what's wrong, what's gotten into you. You just, you're just reacting or responding that way, and you need to go talk to somebody. All those things because we're so emotionally involved, and the way you expressed it. I know you're a mom too, but in your expertise, you just said it so calmly and just brought it to light that we need to be in more control as parents
Yeah.
and be a step ahead when it comes to our approach, be clever in trying to make it more inviting with our young adults when we're talking about the idea and or what they could possibly benefit from it. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
I just laugh. Most parents be like, "What? We meet them. We meet them."
We're matching that energy. Like, no, let's not match energy.
Just got a little gangster still in us, and so we just come back like you don't even know me like that.
Yes. Yes.
That's so wrong. That's so wrong. Before you know it is out there, you've put it out there, and
Yes.
you get a different reaction. So I just had to go like, ooh.
But also, I want to add to that, right? I think parents sometimes could be the biggest hindrance too. And I think parents need to accept that sometimes our child's problem is more than we can handle.
Yeah.
Like accepting that they're going through something and it's more than we can handle in that moment. In putting our feelings aside, because sometimes we get hurt too.
Yeah.
Putting our feelings aside and making therapy a more warm and welcoming place versus a last resort. Because really, when you tell someone you need therapy, that sounds like a last resort type ordeal versus the first line of defense.
Yeah.
Like the first line of defense is, hey, you need a safe space to talk. And I might not be that person, but hey, we could find someone you can talk to.
So good. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome.
Thank you. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about counseling and therapy?
I think I hit on some of them, right? So, one of the ones I talked about is being in crisis.
Yeah.
Like, therapy is only for people who's in crisis. And the truth is, I would say maybe about 60% of my clients are not in crisis. They're just coming to me for emotional wellness. So you don't have to be in crisis to seek a counselor. I just want emotional wellness. I just want to learn some coping strategies, or I want to learn boundaries, right? Because sometimes we just need to have some tools in our tool belt that can help us manage this life that we're in. because this is a journey that we're on, and we need tools on the journey. Also, uh, something I've heard recently, right? That therapy can make you seem weak. And that was new to me. I'm gonna tell you that that was new. When I heard it, it kind of took me aback a minute because I'm like, how can that make you, appear weak? But that's a common misconception, right? Because you were not strong enough to handle what you were going through.
Yeah.
And so it's looked upon as being weak. And I never thought of it from that perspective. But the reality of it is it takes strength to talk to someone about what you're going through. And so that's definitely a misconception. And one of the ones I always tell my clients, right? Um, judgment. I'm not here to judge anyone. I create a safe space. We're non-judgmental. We're not here to judge whatever you're going through. We just help you to safely navigate what you're going through. And so I always try to let my clients know that I don't judge you for anything. And so those are most of the misconceptions that I typically hear about. But like I said, the one being weak was a new one that I heard. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, it takes strength to come talk to somebody, especially a stranger. Like, it takes a lot of strength to talk to a stranger about what you're going through and lay it all on the table. That's a lot.
I agree. But there are some who think and look at it from the outside looking in, like you're not mentally tough to handle what you're going through. Like
Yeah.
you're about to break down, and in their mind, they may look at it as a crisis type situation. Like, oh,
Mm.
she has to go talk to somebody. She about to crack up, or he about
Yeah.
to crack up, but unfortunately, you do have those who think like that, and sometimes they're in our environment, they're in our family, and it can be tough to navigate that.
Yeah. And that's why we need to normalize, seeking help. Like, normalize that it's okay to talk to someone, and normalize actually therapy is not just for crisis. It's really about emotional intelligence. And that's one of the reasons I moved away from crisis situations because it takes a lot, right, to be in the crisis and to be in the thick of things. And that's why I moved to the side of emotional wellness.
That's pulling back a lot of layers and
Yeah.
into a crisis situation to support someone and to help them navigate that. I can imagine.
Yes, it takes a lot, right? Because I used to answer the phone, crisis calls one day out of the week. And the truth is, it's like, okay, but let me get to the other side. Like, I can help maintain them. And it's different. And so it's not just for crisis. Like, we need emotional wellness to handle the things as they come up, right? I always tell people, let's think of it as being instead of reactive, proactive. So seeing a therapist could actually be proactive. I'm learning the tools now because on this life, things will happen. So I'm learning the tools now. So when something comes up, I know that I have the tools to handle it and keep on going.
Okay. So tell the audience, how can therapy help young men become stronger leaders, husbands, fathers, and professionals?
I think, and that's a great question. Of course, I'm a woman, but I'm answering it on how it can help men. And this is strictly from my professional lens, right? Not because on a personal level, I don't know, but on a professional level, I've seen the impact that therapy can have on young men, leaders, fathers, and husbands too, right? Because it helps them to develop their emotional intelligence. And because, like I said earlier, right, when we only react in our emotions, and it doesn't care about tomorrow or our relationships that we still need to navigate, we make some huge mistakes that we tend to regret. But if we have leaders and dads and fathers and husbands that's emotional intelligence is developed and they learn how to think before they respond, then you're building better relationships because you're thinking about, okay, I want to maintain this relationship. So let me take a step back. It's getting kind of heated. So let me take a step back. Let me think about what it is that I'm trying to say, and I can come back and approach it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Right. So it's helping them from that standpoint. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think therapy can help them express their feelings. Like, because men still need to learn how to express how they feel. Because for them, it's still kind of taboo. But just the words to say, I feel overwhelmed, or I feel unheard, or even I feel disappointed because I thought, hey, getting married will look one way and it's looking this way. So even those words can help them even within the marriage. Or even a father telling their son, like, I saw, I feel disappointed or I feel embarrassed because, we raised you to be this one way and we see you making these choices that doesn't reflect the way we raised you. See how, just expressing in that moment how you feel and what's causing you to feel that way helps you, with communication. So therapy, not only helps with emotional intelligence, but it also helps with communication because you're able to communicate how you feel in those moments.
Great. Okay.
Mhm.
So good. So we're rounding down to one last question, which is what would you say to a young man who is considering therapy but is hesitant to take the first step?
I would say that's quite a few young men I see that's pretty hesitant, and let them know that anything we do new is always going to be, there's going to be some nervousness attached to it.
Mhm.
There's always going to be a resistance, right? Because we as humans, we love things that's familiar. We like to know what's going to happen. And so anytime we try to do something different, we're always going to be a little nervous, a little hesitant, but let them know that it's okay. And you don't have to be in crisis to seek therapy, right? You could start with something small, like even if it's, going to the barber shop, right? Starting small, even, talking to the barbershop and, hey, what I'm thinking about XYZ, what do you think? Like being hesitant, that's our human nature. We're hesitant about quite a few things. But that's our human nature, and understanding that just because I'm hesitant, just because I'm questioning, doesn't mean I shouldn't follow through with it. If
Good.
anything, that's a sign that, hey, maybe I should go through with this. And so just noticing like, hey, you're hesitant, got it. That's life. We're all hesitant about starting something new, but it's worth it, right? If you stick with it and see the other side, then you'll think, oh my God, how did I ever live like this?
That is so good. I hope you really come into the path of many young men before some of what we see our generation and those who may be a little older than us. They say when they're hesitant, they quick to put it off on the Lord. Well, let me pray about it. Let me ask God about it. And it's just a way to put off and delay.
Yeah.
And and I know our younger generation, maybe all of them won't respond that way, but some of them raised in those households, they can pick up on
Yes.
that kind of response as well.
Yeah. But this is the thing though, right? Like silence doesn't mean you're healing, right? Just because you're quiet about it doesn't mean it's going away,
Yes.
right? Silence, really is you suffering, right? That's what they call it, suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the healthiest version. And so sometimes it's okay to seek therapy because it doesn't make you less of a man. If anything, you'll walk away with it with tools so that you can help your family. And so just, you know, understanding that therapy is really about returning yourself to a wholeness so that you can be the best version of you. That's really what it's about. Just being the best version of you. That's my hope for everybody. I just need everybody to be the best version of themselves, however that looks.
I love that. So that they can move forward and continue to build their best life, which is what we're all about. I had
Yeah.
to put that in there, but you really blessed some young men, and I hope they captured this by stating that silence does not mean healing, and we um, it I've done it. I've done it as an adult, just being silent about a situation that could be, eating me up on the inside, or you tuck it back in this corner in your life, and you just move forward with other things that you have
Yeah.
to deal with, and you just don't talk about it. But that doesn't mean that person is okay.
Yeah.
Far from it. You may not be belly aching and complaining, but that doesn't mean that you're okay. And so that struck a chord with me, and I know it touched some others as well.
Yeah, so I'm glad I can be of service. I'm glad I can help. I love talking to the young men because I think it is important to normalize
Hmm.
seeking help and not suffering in silence, right? Even with you with that story, it reminded me of I just had a new client like 3 weeks ago, and
Hmm.
I was like, "Well, what brought you here, or whatever?" And she was like, "Well, my doctor told me to come see a therapist," and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, asking her more questions. And so what's happening is for the last 2 years, she's been having chest pains. She's gotten an MRI, CT scans, body scans, the heart monitors, like everything, and they can't find anything wrong with her. So now they're like, okay, it has to be psychological. So because she's stressed, her body is manifesting physical symptoms. And that's what people don't realize. Like, just because, like you say, we don't say anything, our body can manifest physical symptoms to make us think that something is wrong with us. But the reality of it is, it's the mental. And we don't realize like our mental health can affect our physical health and vice versa. They both affect each other. So we have to be mentally and physically well and take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. That was so good. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Shannon, we love having you on the Blueprint for Success podcast. You bring so much value, so much knowledge and expertise in this area. For the viewers who may want to look you up, or get in touch with you later, share how they can contact you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So, of course, I know we have a huge following in Florida. So, just be aware that I am licensed in Texas, Florida, and Colorado. And so, I do virtual sessions, and I'm actually bringing on another therapist that's going to help me. And so, we already have someone. And so, we're bringing on someone new to help us with this platform. And so, I'm happy to announce that. And so, you can always go on hopewithincounseling.com or even email me at info at Hope Within Counseling, or even give me a call at 469-849-5956. So Hope Within Counseling.
Thank you so much. I hope you all captured that. Congratulations on
Thank you. I know. I'm excited.
members and staff to your business, so you can reach and touch more lives and be a blessing to
Yes.
those who need it most.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Same here. It's a pleasure, and we're,
Yeah.
we're always looking forward to getting information from you. So thank you for agreeing to be a part of the program this evening.
Yes.
And thank you to all our viewers who tuned in. We greatly appreciate you, and all the comments placed in the chat. We love and appreciate you all. Please make sure that you tune in every Tuesday for the Blueprint for Success podcast. It's live at 5:30 Central Time and 6:30 Eastern Time. And also, we do a podcast on Thursdays as well. So please make sure you tune in. We love and appreciate you all, and we hope that you have a blessed night. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.